Better understanding, let's look at a diagram of this 25th day embryo. Here we have taken a sagittal section of the embryo. What is a sagittal section? It is nothing but dividing the body into right and left halves. For example, let's take an apple. Here we are cutting the apple longitudinally to divide it into left and right parts. And in this diagram, we have taken the view of that half. In the same way, we are seeing the section of the embryo. Do you understand? Imagine we are cutting the embryo longitudinally into two halves, right and left, and viewing that section. You can see this diagram. This is frontal prominence, cardiac bulge, gut, foregut, stomodium, and this is buccopharyngeal membrane. This is stomodium. It is nothing but a primitive oral cavity, that is, a developing oral cavity of a fetus in the mother's womb, alright? And this is gut. Gut is divided into foregut, midgut, and hindgut, okay? And foregut consists of anterior part of the alimentary canal. This stomodium is lined by oral ectoderm, and the foregut is lined by endoderm, alright? Ectoderm and endoderm. And this buccopharyngeal membrane divides the oral cavity from the foregut, alright? At 27th day of gestation. In the previous diagram, we saw the embryo at 25th day, right? Now, we are going to see an embryo at 27th day of gestation. At the 27th day of gestation, the buccopharyngeal membrane ruptures and the primitive oral cavity comes in contact with the foregut. We all know our oral cavity is continuous with the pharynx, and for this development to take place, this process is very important. Now, when we see the area of oral cavity, that is stomodium, microscopically, let's say this is the oral ectoderm, and this is the underlying ectomesenchyme. Now, the underlying ectomesenchyme induces the oral ectoderm to start the tooth development and the development of future maxilla and mandible. I hope it's clear how the buccopharyngeal membrane ruptured.
We can get into the development of lip. The two mandibular processes on the either side move towards the midline and fuse together and form the lower margin of the stomodium, that is the lower lip. Now, the two maxillary processes grow medially and fuse with the lateral nasal process to form the lateral part of the upper lip. The medial nasal process of both the sides fuse together to form the philtrum of the upper lip. An important point here is that the skin overlying the lateral part of the upper lip is derived from the skin overlying the maxillary process. But in the case of philtrum, the skin covering the philtrum is also derived as the overgrowth of the skin covering the maxillary process